Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at the really fascinating intersection of culture and art.
Yeah.
Now, you're probably prepping for the IELTS,
Right.
and specifically that speaking section act,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Well, this deep dive should give you more than just some vocabulary or sample answers.
Right.
We're going to explore art, culture,
Yeah.
and how they shape our world
Yeah. It's
in a
about
way that'll really get you thinking.
connecting those dots.
Yeah.
Understanding not just the what of these concepts, but the why. Why they matter. Why they resonate with us on such a fundamental level.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Your prep materials highlight cultural heritage.
Right?
Why is that so important to protect?
It's about our roots.
Mm-hmm.
Cultural heritage is the living link between people and their history.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of identity, both personal and collective.
Yeah.
Imagine a community stripped of its traditions, its stories, its art.
Right.
It's like losing a part of your soul.
That's deep. And I bet the IELTS examiners would love to hear that kind of insight.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you get hit with a question like, why is it important to preserve cultural heritage?
Right.
How would you use that in an answer?
You could talk about how safeguarding cultural heritage is like preserving a community's DNA.
Right.
It's about passing down the essence of a culture, its values, its memories, its unique way of seeing the world to future generations. Without that continuity, a community risks losing its sense of self.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your materials also mention the idiom, a window into the past. How
Right.
could you use that in a way that really wows the examiners?
Instead of just saying monuments are a window into the past,
Right.
you could say something like, stepping into a preserved historical site is like stepping through a portal. Suddenly you're surrounded by echoes of the past, whispers of lives lived centuries ago.
Wow.
It's about painting a vivid picture with your words.
So we've talked about painting pictures. Let's talk about art itself. It's not just something we hang on walls or put in museums.
It's so much more than that.
Right.
Think of art as a language, a way of communicating ideas, emotions, even anxieties that might be hard to express in words.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of society's soul,
Okay.
its joys, its struggles, its dreams.
I like that art as a language.
Yeah.
So how does this language of art help us understand the complexities of modern society?
Art can be a powerful tool for social commentary, for sparking debate,
Yeah.
for challenging the status quo.
Okay.
Look at Banksy's street art, for example.
Right.
It's provocative, it's witty, and it forces us to confront issues like consumerism, inequality,
Yeah.
and the very nature of art itself.
Right.
It's not just about aesthetics, it's about making a statement.
So if the IELTS examiner asks you, what role does art play in modern society?
Right.
You'd have a lot to say about that.
I would.
And speaking of saying things effectively, there's some great vocabulary in these materials.
Okay.
Self-expression, cultural diversity, social issues.
Yeah.
Can you break those down for us and maybe give us some examples of how they show up in art?
Let's start with self-expression.
All right.
Art gives us a way to explore our inner landscapes, to give shape to our thoughts and feelings. It's like having a conversation with your soul.
Yeah.
And sometimes that conversation spills out onto a canvas, a page, or a stage.
Right.
Then there's cultural diversity. Art is a tapestry woven from the threads of different cultures, traditions, and perspectives.
Okay.
Think about the vibrant colors and rhythms of Bollywood dance,
Right.
the intricate patterns of Islamic calligraphy, or the haunting melodies of Celtic folk music.
Wow.
Each form of art reflects the unique beauty and richness of a particular culture.
Yeah.
And finally, social issues.
Right.
Art has always been a vehicle for social change, a mirror reflecting society's flaws and a voice for the voiceless.
Okay.
Look at how artists have used photography to expose the horrors of war, how playwrights have used theater to challenge gender stereotypes,
Right.
how musicians have used song to rally people for civil rights.
It's amazing how art can do all that.
It really
It's
is.
like that idiom, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Have you ever been truly moved by a piece of art that did that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
There's a photo by Dorothea Lange called Migrant Mother.
Okay.
It's a portrait of a woman during the Great Depression, her face etched with worry, her children clinging to her.
Wow.
You can see the desperation, the resilience, the depth of human experience in a single frame.
Right.
It's powerful because it goes beyond words, straight to the heart of the matter.
An image that sticks with you.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how important it is to protect cultural heritage and how art plays a crucial role in society.
Right.
But what happens when tradition bumps up against the modern world?
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Culture is always evolving, especially in our globalized, technology-driven age.
Right.
The question is modern culture a threat to traditional values? Or can they find a way to coexist?
Right.
Even enrich each other?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
If the IELTS examiner asks, how has modern culture influenced traditional values?
Okay.
What would you say?
It's important to acknowledge both sides of the coin.
Right.
You could talk about how technology and globalization have led to a blending of cultures,
Yeah.
a sharing of ideas and traditions.
Okay.
But you also have to address the potential downsides.
Mm-hmm.
How the dominance of global trends can sometimes overshadow local customs,
Right.
leading to a sense of cultural homogenization. For example,
Okay.
you could talk about how traditional crafts are struggling to survive in the face of mass-produced goods,
Right.
or how younger generations are more drawn to global pop music than their own local folk traditions.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is.
So it's not a simple answer.
No,
It's about acknowledging that tension between the global and the local.
absolutely.
Speaking of which, let's unpack some key terms from your prep materials.
Okay.
Globalization, erode, and customs. What do they really mean in this context?
Globalization is essentially the shrinking of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to advancements in technology and communication,
Right.
it's led to an unprecedented flow of information, goods, and people across borders.
Yeah.
Now, this interconnectedness can be a good thing,
Hmm.
but it can also erode or gradually weaken traditional customs,
Right.
those practices and rituals that have been passed down through generations.
Okay.
For instance, think about how the global popularity of fast food chains has impacted traditional cuisines in some cultures.
Right. It's like that saying, out with the old, in with the new.
Yeah.
How could someone use that phrase effectively in their IELTS answer?
It's tempting to just say modern culture is all about out with the old, in with the new.
Right.
And that's bad for traditional values.
Yeah.
But remember, nuance is key. You could say something like,
Yeah.
while the out with the old, in with the new mentality of modern culture has brought progress,
Right.
it's crucial to find a balance that preserves the richness of our cultural heritage. Show the examiners you can think critically about complex issues.
So it's not about taking sides.
Right.
It's about showing you understand the complexities of the issue.
Right.
This has been so insightful.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but we're not done yet.
No, we're not.
In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore specific examples and strategies
Right.
to help you ace your IELTS speaking test.
Absolutely.
Stay with us.
Yeah. It's fascinating how these threads of cultural heritage, art, and modern influence are all intertwined.
Like pieces of a puzzle,
Yeah.
right? But how do we actually protect cultural heritage? What are we really talking about saving?
Think beyond museums and galleries.
Oh,
Think
God.
about a bustling marketplace in Morocco.
Right?
The aromas of spices filling the air, the vibrant fabrics, the rhythmic haggling.
Right.
That's living cultural heritage.
Okay.
Or picture a traditional tea ceremony in Japan.
Right.
The precise movements, the reverence for ritual, these are tangible expressions of cultural identity.
So it's more than just objects. It's the experiences, the atmosphere,
Absolutely.
the energy that makes a culture unique.
Yeah.
But how do we protect those things?
That's where the concept of intangible cultural heritage comes in. Think about the art of storytelling,
Right.
passed down through generations, or traditional dance forms
Yeah.
that express a culture's history and values through movement.
Okay.
These are treasures that can't be locked away in a museum.
You're right. Those traditions need to be lived and breathed to survive.
Yeah.
So how do we ensure they don't fade away?
It takes a conscious effort
Right.
to document,
Yeah.
preserve, and teach these intangible practices.
Okay.
Imagine a master craftsperson passing their skills down to an apprentice,
Right.
keeping that tradition alive,
Okay.
or a community coming together for a festival
Mm-hmm.
that celebrates their cultural heritage through music, dance, and food.
Right.
It's about active participation, not just preservation.
It's like keeping the embers burning.
Yeah.
So the fire of tradition never goes out.
Exactly.
Now let's turn back to art and its role in society.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier how art can be a powerful tool for communication, even for tackling social issues.
Right.
Can you give us some specific examples
Okay.
of artists using their work to make a statement?
Think about the murals that adorn the walls of Belfast,
Okay.
reflecting the city's turbulent history
Mm.
and the ongoing struggle for peace.
Okay.
Or consider the powerful photographs of Sebastian Salgado,
Right.
documenting the lives of marginalized communities and shedding light on social injustice.
It's incredible how art can give a voice to those who might otherwise go unheard.
Exactly.
And it's not limited to visual art.
What's that?
Look at the plays of August Wilson,
Right.
exploring the African-American experience in 20th century America,
Mhm.
or the novels of Margaret Atwood,
Yeah.
tackling themes of gender and power in a dystopian future.
All there.
So art can be a catalyst for change,
Absolutely.
a way of challenging our perceptions and inspiring us to see the world differently.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about the influence of modern culture on traditional values,
Right. Okay.
music is a prime example of that interaction.
Yeah.
How do you see that playing out?
Think about the evolution of music.
Okay.
We have traditional folk music, deeply rooted in local communities.
Yeah.
And then we have the rise of global genres
Mm-hmm.
like pop music and hip-hop spreading like wildfire through technology.
Right.
This fusion of influences can be exciting, leading to new hybrid styles,
Yeah.
but it also raises questions about the preservation of unique cultural identities.
It's like a global dance floor where everyone is trying to find their rhythm.
I like that.
But is there a risk of everyone dancing to the same beat?
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
While we celebrate the interconnectedness that modern technology brings, we have to be mindful of the potential for cultural homogenization.
Right.
It's about finding a balance.
Yeah.
Celebrating the global while cherishing the local.
So it's not about rejecting modern influences,
Yeah.
but about being conscious of how they impact our cultural landscape.
Absolutely.
Now, before we move on, I want to circle back to the idea of intangible cultural heritage.
Right.
Can you paint us a picture
Sure.
of what that looks like in different parts of the world?
Imagine the vibrant Day of the Dead celebrations in Mexico,
Okay.
honoring deceased loved ones with colorful altars and joyful rituals.
Hmm.
Or picture a traditional powwow in North America,
Right.
where indigenous communities come together to celebrate their heritage
Mhm.
through song, dance, and storytelling.
Yeah.
Then there's the ancient practice of yoga in India,
Okay.
a holistic system connecting mind, body, and spirit.
It's fascinating how these diverse traditions, each with their own unique expressions, all contribute to the rich tapestry of human culture.
It really is.
And it's important to remember that these traditions are more than just performances or rituals. They embody the values, beliefs, and worldviews of entire communities.
Yeah,
They're living expressions of the human spirit.
that's a great way to put it.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the depth and complexity of culture and art.
That's what we aim for,
Yeah.
to spark that curiosity
Right.
and make you think a little differently about the world around you.
Now, before we head into the final part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with something to ponder.
Yeah.
Imagine you were tasked with creating a time capsule to preserve the essence of your culture for future generations.
Okay.
What would you include and why?
That's a good one.
It's a question worth thinking about as we move into the final stage of our exploration.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Before we took that little pause,
Right.
we left you with a challenge.
Yeah.
What would you put in a time capsule to represent your culture for future generations? It's a question that really gets to the heart of what makes a culture unique and worth preserving.
Absolutely.
So did you give it some thought?
I did.
What treasures would you choose for your time capsule?
Well, I'd have to include something that represents the power of language,
Okay.
perhaps a collection of traditional folk tales or poetry, something that conveys the values, beliefs, and worldview of my culture.
Yeah,
Stories have this amazing ability to transcend time,
right.
connecting us to those who came before us and shaping the generations to come.
That's a great choice.
Yeah.
Stories have this unique way of teaching us about ourselves and the world around us. They're like a thread connecting the past, present, and future.
Exactly.
So alongside those stories,
Yeah.
what else would you put in?
I'd probably include an object that embodies the creativity and craftsmanship of my culture.
Okay.
Maybe a handcrafted piece of pottery or a traditional musical instrument, something tangible. That showcases the skills and artistry passed down through generations.
That's a brilliant addition.
Yeah.
It's like holding a piece of history in your hands,
Right.
feeling the energy and dedication that went into creating it.
Absolutely.
Now thinking about the IELTS.
Right.
How can our listener use these ideas about cultural time capsules in their answers?
It's about demonstrating a genuine understanding of the topic.
Okay.
If the examiner asks about cultural heritage,
Right.
instead of giving a generic answer,
Yeah.
you could say, if I were creating a time capsule to represent my culture, I'd include.
Right.
And then list a few specific items and explain the significance behind your choices.
Yeah.
It shows you've thought about the question on a deeper level.
It's about going beyond the textbook
Yeah,
and connecting with the personal, emotional side of culture.
absolutely.
Share your passions, your insights,
Right.
your unique perspective.
Yeah. Let the examiners see your enthusiasm for the topic.
That's great advice. So as we wrap up this deep dive into culture and art,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
Culture and art are not just abstract concepts.
Right.
They're the lifeblood of our societies, shaping our identities, connecting us to our past, and inspiring us to create a better future
Yeah.
as you prepare for the IELTS.
Right.
Remember to engage with these topics with passion, curiosity, and an open mind.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
It's not just about memorizing facts,
Right.
but about understanding the human stories behind them.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it's given you a fresh perspective
Yeah.
and some valuable insights to help you ace your IELTS speaking test.
Absolutely. And to our listener, remember, culture is all around us waiting to be explored.
Right.
Go out there and discover its wonders.